I wasn't going to make another one of these, but then I got fan art of my fan art, and it's so cool.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Quick recap. I made a fake merch line based on CORY's Switch the Colors freestyle last year, and with it, I basically gave him a magic katana with powers that are a tongue-in-cheek reference to the CoryxKenshin channel lore. I plan on remaking the merch sometime in the future, I don't know when, and some things will be changed, and it's a lot of work, but I'll put the link in the description for the original merch videos. Alright, now on to the latest edition of this made-up comic book story that doesn't actually exist. I had a few ideas going into this installment, one of it being the structure of the page. In the last comic, the power scene took about roughly half of the page, but for this one, I knew I wanted it to be a splash page, or just the whole page. I did end up making more panels, but I'll get back to that. Making one full illustration should have been easy enough compared to the last page, but I really struggled with CORY's positioning because perspective, it's not easy, especially when it came to his feet. In fact, I'm pretty sure I drew him, I want to say 8 times before I not settled, more like gave up, because I really just wanted to move past this and just go on to the rest of the story. As for what's happening in the story, or what's happening on the page right now, I would say this happened just after the battle with Edward Norton. By the way, that's someone whose powers I'd like to flesh out too, maybe someday, maybe never. And I don't think CORY lost, but I don't think he won either. I know something had to happen to cause Edward to leave, and as of right now, there are 3 scenarios that I can think of. 1, Eddie and CORY were running out of energy, so Eddie dipped. 2, Eddie got called off, implying that he's working for someone and that someone wants something from CORY. Or number 3, and I think this is my favorite one, CORY's fighting skills are pretty rusty because he's been in hiding. I'm not sorry. And just as Edward is about to get the upper hand, Dashi pops in like,
What up? It's Dashi!
and Edward, not wanting a 2v1, gets out of there. Based on what I drew, I think option 2 is probably the most likely candidate, but I think option 3 can still work. Dashi could just be off screen. The inclusion of him makes for a good vessel for a call to action moment in the story. Like, the two haven't seen each other in a while, and CORY's surprised, but not really, that Dashi found him, and they have a conversation that leads to Dashi asking for CORY's help for something. I don't know. And regardless if CORY agrees to help or not, he needs about 5 minutes just to recover, which is why he used this ability. The first comic showcased the Red Sea, the R in RGB, and it's also CORY's offense type ability, and you're led to believe that's what CORY fights with throughout the entire battle, which is correct. I'd say that's his go-to ability if he's not playing out sword fighting or not pulling out his sidearm. On this new page, you can see he's battle worn, he's tired, he's probably injured, and you can see that his clothes are a lot worse for wear compared to the last one. So he activates his support type ability, Momo, named after his plant Momo, to help him heal any surface level wounds, but mostly to alleviate his fatigue. Think sensu bean, but nowhere near as effective or instantaneous. So nothing like a sensu bean, probably. It takes a while for his energy to replenish, and he's in a pretty precarious situation because his sword needs to be rooted into the ground for the tree to grow. So this is definitely not something that he would use in the heat of battle, or at least not when he's alone. And speaking of how his powers activate, I added those 3 panels to depict exactly how the ability comes to fruition, since I thought just having CORY lean on a giant glowing green tree would raise some questions. But I gotta say, I am not a fan of how the panels cover up the top of the tree, and in my opinion, I think they should be on a separate page, the previous page, where I could probably flesh out the transformation even better, but making one page was tedious enough, and I just wanted to show the ability on one page like I did in the last comic. Which, now that I think about it, I didn't even show I didn't even showcase the activation of Red Sea in the last comic, so I guess I just made more work for myself. By the way, CORY just needs to unsheath his katana to use Red Sea. It's the easiest power to call forth. My inspiration for the powers unleashing was from Neo, a game that I did not finish because it was on my PlayStation Plus account and I was not paying $80 for that shit.
How does this turn into this?
But I really like how you had 3 stance types for combat. Kind of reminded me of One Piece's sword styles. When it comes to these powers, I think they're pretty good, but I also think they're still evolving. I don't even know if they're still the same as in the first video. It's been a while since I've seen it. I know the sword is different though. In the first iteration, the sword guard was where the powers were stored, and I think CORY would use his fingers to turn it like a rotary phone. I've never seen a rotary phone in my life, by the way. But either way, it was a really sloppy idea, and now the sword guard is just a simple golden cross. Maybe it can change colors based on the powers, or maybe not. But I've been debating on giving the Momo style some minor defense abilities, like the tree roots creating an obstacle for any attackers, making it harder for them to get closer to CORY. Or the roots can be incredibly strong, but if they're broken, if one of them is broken, the whole tree disappears, or something like that. And as for that name, Momode, I've always had that name in mind for this particular style. I'm calling them styles now, not abilities. But I thought it was a funny nonsense plant Momo. But I've been thinking it'd be nice, within this fake imaginary world, that Momo is actually a separate character. CORY doesn't have many reoccurring characters on his channel, only Momo and Edward Norton, and separating Momo from the sword style would probably flesh out the world a bit more. Green Tea is a good alternative name as well. It starts with a G, so it'll be the G in RBG, it rhymes with Red Sea, and it's also great over ice. I think I've exhausted everything I could say about this. Like I said, I wasn't going to make another comic, but then I saw someone animated my goofy little drawings, and I had to make another one.
The GOAT!
I'll probably make a third one too, just to complete the set, but not right now. It'll just be these 2 for the time being. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Because my name is CoryxKenshin. Slice them.